All right, guys. Thank you for joining us at another episode of The Grey Matter. Today we have Steve Schuster from Rainier.
Thank you for having me.
It's not Reindeer, it's Rainier.
Rainier.
You can write. Is it Rainier?
It's spelled the same as Rainier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it?
In Europe,
Really
it's
hot.
a Rainier.
It's over
Yeah.
80
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And it's like Mount Rainier.
It's about after Mount Rainier. That's what it's named after.
Yeah, but I was trying to hope for some rain in this.
Yes, it's an aspiration.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for being at The Grey Matter.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Tell us about your background regarding engineering, marketing, sales, and then your own business. So,
Sure. Entrepreneurship is pretty much in my blood. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. My father, both my grandfathers, and all four of my great grandfathers were self-employed. And so in our family, it's sort of like this is what we do. You know, it's up to us. We're not going out looking for jobs. So that's the ethos that I grew up with. My father was also a doctor in a private practice. So for probably all the way through the second year of college, I was on a pre-med track. What I loved, and this has always been true. So growing up, I loved electronics, I loved music, and I loved systems. And the body, of course, is a mechanical, electrical system. So it was just what I eventually discovered is that I didn't want to practice as a doctor. And engineering was, exploding in Massachusetts.
You could always operate, you
If I have to, yes, just give me a butter knife. So I switched over into engineering.
Right.
I was very naive about it. I didn't realize so much math was involved, but I ended up being successful in school. And fortunately, my first job out of college at Northeastern University was with a company called Kurzweil Applied Intelligence. Now, Ray Kurzweil is a serial entrepreneur are you familiar with the name?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's now a futurist. Yeah. So
what did he build?
He already had intelligence in his company's name, right? So that tells you a lot about it.
he was very, very prescient about what was to come. And he was a big thinker. So he made, among other things, the first reading machine for the blind. It was basically you put a book down and it would read in a synthetic voice. And that brought him to meet Stevie Wonder. And as he explained how it was done with samples and so forth, Stevie said, "Well, couldn't you do that in a keyboard?" And so he invented the first sampling keyboard, the Kurzweil 250. Started a company called Kurzweil Music Systems. And then he took that to the company that I was part of, Applied Intelligence, and doing speech recognition. So back then he called it the VAT, the voice activated typewriter.
Now it's very good at that.
Yes. And so there I was plunged into a purely entrepreneurial environment with investors coming in and people working 7 days a week, and it was a really great vibe, and it really reinforced to me that I want to do this someday. This is I'm learning so much. I'm going to take everything I can learn from this experience, and I will apply it and grow it. So there I was. So I worked there, and I worked doing some audio signal processing as well.
Can we just for a second take a break and go back to when you said that you guys invented that machine, which essentially is a text-to-speech?
Sure.
So what was the tech that ran behind it?
No, the text-to-speech was another company. It was Kurzweil Computer Systems, I think it was called. What we were doing was the opposite. So it was really replacing the keyboard buffer in a computer with a voice and a
So
speech.
that was voice to text.
Yeah, voice to text. I mean, now it's like nothing. We do it every day, right?
Yeah.
Back then, it was such advanced technology, and we had such limited computing resources to actually crunch the numbers. We had a refrigerator-size computer, and the like 20 kilobyte drives that were this big.
Oh my God. Like bigger than washing machine.
Yeah. And what we could do was we could recognize individual words in about 2.5 seconds when I first started there. So you had to put spaces between the words, and then the machine would understand the voice to text. And when I joined, our the goal I was given was to reduce it from 2.5 seconds to a quarter second. So an order of magnitude reduction in the amount of time. And we did it.
Was it done through code?
It was what?
Was it done through code?
Hardware and software.
Cool.
So yeah, we had to have very specialized, dedicated hardware for the signal processing and the filtering on the front end. But then, in the code, we did dynamic time warping and hidden Markov modeling, all kinds of things that would, really, it was really cutting edge, really early.
Which year was this?
This was 1983 that I started there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was born in 1982.
And then from there, as I said, I went into another company doing signal processing for essentially musicians for rock bands. And so that, coupled really nicely with my own sort of side career as a rock and roll musician.
So your experience or your sort of passion for music sort of came into the way you worked.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it also connected me to electronics in the earliest days, even when I was in high school. And I was really reading everything I could get my hands on about how the Beatles recorded their multi-track recordings with really unsophisticated equipment back then. So I actually borrowed my brother's tape recorder, and I had my tape recorder, and I rewired the whole thing so that I could bounce back and forth and do multi-track recording. So I was already, up to my elbows in electronics and innovation. Anyway, what I discovered, I often get the question, why did you move from engineering to marketing? It's not necessarily a natural progression. While I was working with Kurzweil, we finished this box that sat next to the PC and recognized individual words in a quarter second. And we finished it. It was like, okay, here it is. What do we do with it? So I came in on the weekend, and we were using a circuit board layout product called FutureNet. And I created a vocabulary for circuit board layout and trained it. And then on Monday morning, I always had a habit of getting there about 7:30 in the morning. And the CEO of the company, Ray was the chairman and CEO, Mike Tomasic, came in and he said, "How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah." We got our coffee. I said, "Mike, I want to show you something." So I took him back, and I literally sat on my hands and had the microphone in front of my mouth and started creating a circuit board. Shift left, shift right, zoom in, place chip, place traces, everything. And he said, "We have some investors coming in this afternoon. Would you be willing to do this?" And so they came in, they gathered behind me, there were 3 or 4 of them, and I did the demo.
And they're like, "We see fire."
And then they started to ask me questions. I looked at Ray and at Mike, and it was okay if I answer the questions. And they said, "Please go ahead." And
we don't know the answers anyway.
Right. I was very intimate with all the workings of the system, and I started answering their questions. Really good dialogue back and forth, and I realized that I was telling a story. I was framing it in a way that I knew that these investors might resonate with, and they wrote a check that day to the company.
Wow.
Was this the tipping point that made you go towards marketing?
It is the tipping point.
Joining my side of the world?
Yeah.
Although I technically joined your side of the world.
Yes.
Marketing.
Yeah, it really was. It was kind of a revelation. I really thought, wow, telling story. I mean, I understand the technology. I'm good at engineering, but is this what I want to do the rest of my life? You know what? I think I like talking with people. I think I like telling stories. And
So in that check, you had that equity as well, or you were just working there, showing the product as an engineer?
I didn't have any equity. I was a very new young engineer. And from there, I started doing little, let's say, random acts of marketing in the company. Nobody's asking me to do it. It wasn't part of my job description. But I would create advertisements. This is way before Photoshop or anything. So it was
Like the messaging and what
coming up with. There was one tagline that they came with. When Schwab talks, everybody listens, or one of those financial companies. And I came up with when Kurzweil listens, everybody talks.
That
And
was an extension, right?
Yeah.
You took a jab at them and told them about your product.
yeah, yeah. And so I really decided I wanted to continue to become I knew I wanted to run some kind of technology company, and it felt like I needed to have technical chops to do that. So I really honed my technical chops, and I went back to school nights and weekends to get an MBA. Again, in Northeastern's high-tech MBA program. And when I graduated, I found my first job as a product manager. And it was a great juxtaposition of my skills, my engineering skills, and my newly
Acquired
MBA skills, where I was running entire product lines of real-time computing and signal processing, and so technologies that I knew. But I began telling the stories. I began being invited to go on sales calls. I was invited to go to trade shows. And it really, what I did on my own was I created sales enablement tools. Our salespeople were always complaining about HP as the competition. And I wrote up this really nice little guide and script showing them that they had nothing to fear from HP. We actually were better than HP. So anyway, I did product management. I ended up being a market manager for signal intelligence, and then I moved to another company called Oki. Oki Microsystems was called. It's you probably heard of Oki data printers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the parent company. Oki Denki is the name of the parent company. Oki Electric. So they had formed a division called Oki Microsystems, and they had built this workstation for NTT, and they decided, well, we've built it, we own it, let's try and market it against HP and IBM and Sun. No small competition, right? So I was thrust right into the middle of figuring out how to do that. And then somebody left the company who was the financial market manager. So I ended up going down to Wall Street every week. I flew down on Sunday night, came back on Wednesday night, talking to stock traders and bond traders about our technology and how it could be used to do what they do today. Bloomberg terminals and the program trading and all that. This was the earliest days of even this
a lot
concept.
of data, a lot of computation.
Yeah.
And Sun Microsystems produce Java.
Yeah.
And it is still evergreen and very strong backend technology. I think it's the best still.
It's a remarkable inflection point in the industry,
Yeah.
giving that kind of coding capability. So eventually, Oki didn't succeed. I mean, the competition was just too steep, and the pricing was, not competitive. But I learned so much, and that's when I went to my next job, which was the CEO position.
And how many years you stayed in Oki?
It was 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. But I got poached, basically. I got recruited.
Intelligent people always get poached.
And I ended up running this whole this company. It was about a $30 million company, again, doing signal processing. But of course, over the years, since my engineering days, digital signal processors had advanced a huge amount. So we had a lot more to talk about, a lot more applications that we could address in real time. And that's when I began to really think about, starting. I all through my marketing career and this position as CEO, I hired PR agencies, and I always ended up doing the work. I always ended up.
There comes the final pivot.
Yeah. So the final pivot is this realization that I'm doing all the work. And why am I doing all the work? Well, I'm learning a lot about PR from them, but they don't understand my technology. They don't understand my technology, and they don't understand the adoption parameters of my technology. So if you don't understand those, how do you draw the line between those two dots and communicate? You really can't. You can't teach a PR person engineering.
You can.
Turns out you can teach an engineer PR.
Yeah.
And so I decided basically to form the agency that I could never find. And I said, this is, it was very clear. My parameters were, I want to be good at writing, I want to understand technology, and I want to bring senior representation to our clients, because I worked with agencies where we were sold from the top of the agency and service from the bottom. And I didn't ever want to do that to my clients.
I mean, PR, Rainier, that's how the company came about, that sort of connected both the dots between technology and the marketing bit or the story bit.
Yes.
And this was what year?
This was 1993.
1993.
I
There was
launched
no
the
internet.
Really no internet. It was the very, very early days of even thinking about the web.
The disk drives.
Yeah, it was SneakerNet.
Yeah.
That's what we called it. I launched the company at a trade show that I had been sent to as the CEO, called ICASP, a very technical conference, international conference on acoustic and audio signal processing. It was all just steeped in signal processing. So I decided to spend my time there walking around to different booths and asking how they were doing with their marketing, how they were doing with their PR. And actually turned over my business card and I wrote Rainier Corporation. That was the original Rainier Corporation, and my home phone number. And started giving those out. And I went home with 2 clients, and I left my job. And I had an old 386 PC in my basement. And my employees, as a going away present, got me an answering machine phone, with the tapes in it. Yeah.
Latest technology of those times.
It was. And so I started in my basement, and very quickly was doing. I had also, in previous positions, been on the boards of a couple different trade shows, DSPX and DSP World. So I had connections with big companies like Texas Instruments and Analog Devices and Xilinx.
You had your network basically.
I had the network is the most important thing. And it's the reason we've met, because we're going to these networking events.
Yes.
It is always,
And we keep meeting multiple times.
and it's great. And I didn't realize your connection to Quorum. Yeah, I did. I had no idea until
Because
today.
we're mostly at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
When I connected, I saw you both as mutuals.
Ah.
And when we decided about the podcast, I
Yeah.
intentionally didn't tell him. So that's a surprise for you that you guys
I
are
love
in.
it.
And I checked with him, and he said, I met him.
Yeah,
at
but this means you did not see the gray matter.
You're right.
Now you just see your episode when it comes, yeah?
Okay. No, I actually watched a few just to.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
did?
watch the entire thing, but just to sort of see
Yeah.
what the style is. Yeah, I like to be prepared. But it is kind of a really cool act of serendipity that I met you, then I met you, and it's come together. It's all about. And we'll get back to Rainier. It's all about that network. It certainly is. So I began to get jobs with TI at Texas Instruments, which is a huge multi-billion-dollar company. But I was brought in to write a monthly column for a guy named Gene France, who was what they call an engineering fellow there. So it's going to the management track. And very quickly, I discovered that I had a talent for capturing somebody's voice. And when I would write for him, he would come back and he always had some few changes here and there. But he said, you captured my voice. I feel like I wrote this. And I learned something. I understood how important this was to bring authenticity to marketing. So many people, as you know, think of marketing as fluff.
Yeah, story of my life.
As even bullshit artists.
But I want to ask one question.
Yeah.
You said authenticity, right? Back in the day, it was the papers, it was the magazines, right?
Yes.
And something was written in columns and even half pages.
Yes.
Right? To explain one point. And it was coming generally straight from the heart. And the intent was to sort of get the product out there.
Yeah.
Properly, right?
Yeah.
How is it different from this time when you have a news feed that does not stop telling you shit?
Yeah. Well,
How do you filter?
I would have.
How is PR now making sense? I mean, we've seen examples. I do not want to quote the name of the company. This company was a unicorn out of a country from close to the country where we are from. And they created so much stuff on the internet and they had their stock rising. And it turned out that it was not an AI company. It was actually engineers in the back doing all the coding, right?
Unbelievable.
You must have heard about it.
Yeah, I did.
How do you differentiate in these times from what's real, what's not, what's telling the truth, and what's just deep fake?
Yeah. It's been a journey, as you might imagine, over 30 years. Not only is technology advanced, but marketing is
From
advanced.
paper to pixels.
Exactly. I remember in sort of maybe the 1997, 1998 timeframe, having a company that we got on the new website of EE Times, so read by all kinds of engineers. And the client said, yeah, I'm just a little disappointed it wasn't in the print edition.
Yeah.
And I said, so it was after 97, because I said to him, but you can't Google a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So even this realization back then that SEO was absolutely fundamental. So along that journey, I mean, in the early days, when we sent out press releases, we had envelope stuffing parties and stamping parties, and we put them in the mail. Obviously, today everything's completely in real time. There's not a journalist in the world who doesn't get their news through either wire feeds or email from people like me. So along that journey, it still was relationships. Not necessarily with the clients, but with the media. So the media, as you know, loves to hate PR people.
Yeah.
And we've earned it, to be honest, because we flood them with stuff that's not relevant. And so that authenticity that we came to them with.
Not every news is newsworthy, right?
Not everything's newsworthy, and you have to have the guts to tell your client.
Yeah.
Look, I understand that you're excited about this, but it's not yet newsworthy. Here's my advice on where we need to take it in order to make it newsworthy. And so why do we do that? We won't go to the editors, the journalists, with fluff. It's disrespectful to them. It's not having done our homework. So every time we interact with the media, it's based on knowing what they write about. And it's based on sort of an understanding of the B to B to C relationship. The media is the B, so we're marketing to them. But if we don't understand, and this goes for marketing for any kind of company, the end user, who's their reader, then we're not going to know what to give them that the readers are going to appreciate.
Right.
So it's as I said, before we started, it's a method. There is a method to the madness. It's not just all color crayons and and drawing fancy pictures. So today that remains true, and it remains. It's probably even more true than ever that authenticity is key, and it's key. With all our user-generated content, you have to be authentic. With editor-written content, you have to give them what they need to make it authentic for their readers. And it's even more important today with the world of journalism shrinking.
Yeah.
You've experienced this, I'm sure, right? Yeah. I'm sure you've seen it throughout your career. The editors that are left are a precious commodity to a PR agency and to a technology client.
When I'm talking to very young clients, I have to explain them what is a PR and how it works, basically.
Yeah.
They are like, newspaper PR, what are you talking about? So they don't know shit about it, basically.
Yeah. A lot of people don't, and that was in the early days of Rainier, was getting the trust of technical founders who really didn't know anything about PR, and showing them how it could actually turn into exposure for them.
But for our audience, especially if we have a lot of tech people who are on our show as founders, I mean, what I want to understand and what I want to impart through the show is that, how is different mediums important for any tech company or any other company? Let's talk about tech company right now, because that's where you mostly specialize.
Yes.
So if I'm an AI startup, right? What PR channels should I use? Well, if I come to Rainier.
Yeah, we're going to look at, and for every client, we create a customized list of who we're going to target and why. So we kind of map the news and the content to the right media. And so that's our job, and that's part and parcel of understanding the technology.
What would be the best for me for reach and authenticity?
Yeah, there are a number of AI publications, and they really are market facing. So if you're bringing some kind of AI tool, you go for the publications that are facing your customers, because that's what we want to do. A lot of startups will say, can you get us in the Wall Street Journal? And my question is always, why?
It's not relevant.
Yeah, sometimes we can, and sometimes we did just a couple of weeks ago.
It's like being on Times Square, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like being on Times Square. I want to be on Times Square.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah, but
Wait,
why?
are your customers congregating?
Yeah.
So, because I'm going to take a photo and put it up on my LinkedIn.
That's true.
So it's like by media, right?
Yeah.
Something which is created for some other medium and then it's propagated onto another medium. And
Yes.
That's how you get reach.
That's true. It kind of sprinkles the whole thing with pixie dust. That makes it
Yes.
look very credible. But the mediums, as they've evolved, of course, we went from print to websites to blogs.
You know, Khurram's been on Times Square. Right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. On
Yes.
two screens simultaneously.
He made me do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you must have marketed the heck out of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the, I think of the last 12 months,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
highest rated content on his
Wow.
channels.
Wow.
13,006 views
Yeah.
Organic.
on Instagram.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
Organic.
really
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do your Instagram posts get you clients?
No. None of my LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram posts have got me clients, but I was in an event and someone used a term called speed to trust. So this good content creates that speed to trust. Whenever I meet someone, and if they have the potential to become my client, and or I have the potential to sell them something, if they like the content, the trust can be built very quickly.
Yeah.
So that is what helps me in content. There has never been a case in my entire career that someone saw my stuff on social media and contacted me.
Yeah.
But whoever I meet, I show them, they can trust me very quickly.
I will disagree. His content actually does his conversion.
How so?
So I'll tell you, because see, at times we have common friends, common industry colleagues, right? A lot of people have quoted his content to me, right? And that is the process. And they want something that he did, right?
Yeah.
So case in point, this Times Square video. I was approached by somebody and he said that, I saw that video and I know that you did it and it worked for them. I want something similar for my brand. And then it does
Through a network.
even people see it. It won't be like a paid ad and it's out there, somebody clicks on it and it converts into a sale.
Yeah.
But it does convert into a consideration, which is the whole purpose of B2B or
Yeah.
B2B business.
Right, absolutely.
To have that.
But actually, I was
You don't get a brief in
Because-
our inbox on Instagram.
Exactly. Basically, that's what I was answering. That there is never been a case that some stranger saw that video and messaged me that I want to work with you. But yes, that is the first point. There are 6 to 7 touch points before they start touching.
Yeah.
So that first video of that sort can create a bigger impact, and then they see the website, then they meet me personally, and then
The conversation goes
exactly,
forward.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it does help.
Oh yes, big time.
I think it does too. I think it comes under the category of knocking down barriers.
Yeah.
Making a sale is a hard thing. We know that.
Ask me. So also both are business owners.
Yeah.
So selling is the toughest part, right?
But it's the most fun part.
Yeah. Did you know you were going into sales when you started your business?
No, I mean, of course, I knew that I would be selling, right?
Yeah.
Nobody is going to sell for me.
Correct.
I have to do it, but yes, the work that my team does, it speaks volumes. So it converts.
Yeah.
Right? That's the work that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? So if there is a brand identity that we make, if I haven't made it, yes, I may have thought I may have contributed towards it, but it's them
Yeah.
who've actually done it, right?
And the family he comes from, they are the best sellers in Pakistan.
Oh, okay. What do they sell?
So anything. Yeah, it's a business community. They run the business community basically.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good. I think this again attaches to authenticity because what's the first line of due diligence that an investor or a potential customer will do? They'll go to
Your
Google.
presence.
Now they're going to ChatGPT and other AI engines, and if they go there and they just find your website, like, oh, nice website. But if they go there and they find articles in trade media that explain and convey thought leadership, all of a sudden your barrier drops, your fear drops that you're making. People, when they're spending a lot of money with our companies, they fear making a mistake. What am I going to tell my board if I spent tens of thousands of dollars and it was a mistake? They don't want that. So you have to make them believe in you. You have to really, and again, it's authenticity.
Yeah. So Steve, we keep talking about authenticity and we keep talking about how the media outlets I mean, from a marketer's perspective, I may judge a news to be newsworthy first and then authentic or not, because a lot of
Yeah.
PR is now paid PR.
Yeah.
There are specific LinkedIn groups and publications digitally that are just there, all right, give me some money. So every day I'm bombarded with, in fact, every time an episode goes online, I'm bombarded with these agencies and they say, do you want to feature on Forbes? Do you want to feature
Or
on...
50 under, you know.
Yeah. Now we've crossed 40, so we can't be 40 under 40. So we have to be 50 under 50, yeah. So
Congratulations, I think.
Yeah, it keeps getting difficult with every year.
Yeah.
But so how does one differentiate between what's a paid PR and what's not? Even a publication like Forbes could take my money and put me on digital cover, something which is very specifically created for my industry niche.
Yeah. Forbes is a great example because they created, and I think they were very, very clever in the early days of where the media was going. Their technology council, their business council, and basically they go to executives, and let's say it's a CTO, and they get them to become part of the technology council for a fee of, I think back then it was $2,000 a year. Business council, same thing, be like CEOs, COOs. And with that fee, you had free reign to write as many articles as you want.
Yeah.
And so for us, especially with unknown startups, where it's hard to pitch to the highest end publications, we could actually get them in print. It was searchable. And that due diligence that people would do would say, yeah, cool, article in Forbes. He's a thought leader in solar energy.
Precisely.
Yeah. So I don't. The two things I don't discount. One is paid placement. If it's good content, if it's authentic content, then fine.
It should make sense whenever we're investing money and the content.
Yeah, because you can't fool people.
Yeah.
You can't. The other thing that I feel is very valid is when you put out a press release, it goes over the wire, and then it shows up verbatim somewhere. It might be in Yahoo Finance, let's say, or somewhere else. So, I mean, the ideal is that an editor takes the story and writes their own story. But when it shows up just verbatim like that, I often say to my clients, remember how hard we worked on every single word and every punctuation mark on that press release? Well, they printed it exactly how you wanted it. So,
but that would defy the purpose, right? It won't be genuine. It won't be coming from the editorial perspective. It would be an ad.
I don't think people. I don't think people absorb the information that way. I think when they do Google you, and they see where you are. Let's say you're on Forbes. Let's say you're in Yahoo Finance. It's just there's a psychological reinforcement that this entity is real, and I'm not going to make a mistake by working with them or buying something. Yeah. The authenticity, though, so I have a long-standing kind of maxim in Rainier, and that's that we always engage in what's called defensible audacity.
Okay.
And that's a phrase that I invented years ago to basically say, we will look at any story and we will make the most of it. We will shout as loud as we possibly can, but it has to be defensible. It has to be authentic. We won't lie for you. And I've fired clients for asking me to.
I love that word. we also fire clients, love that way of thinking.
Yeah, you have to. I fire them for two reasons. One is that they ask me to lie, or two is that they're abusive to my team.
I think we share this value.
Same principle.
We very much share this exact value.
Yeah. So defensible audacity is just a form of authenticity and
defensible audacity.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to have it one of the captions for your
episode. Great.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've written something else, although let's find. Kudam, you wanted to go in the break. You discussed that you want to speak about some technology.
So Rainier Communication, it's now I think 32 years.
Yes.
When you formulated it, I'm very fond of always thinking what's the history and how long.
Yeah.
So you must have seen a lot of changes in technology in these years. So what are the 2 or 3 important points which you would like to share and how you adapted technology to make your customers and your business successful?
Beautiful.
Yeah. It is a good question. And I feel really lucky in my career to have had a front row seat to the evolution of technology over the last 4 decades.
You saw the .com.
Yeah. Well,
Y2K.
we looked at that closely, but I think the .com was the first real disruption. It really changed the way everybody thought about everything, the way people buy things.
Amazon.
It's the life.
Where we live.
Yeah, it's where we live today. Do you remember Amazon when they first started their ads? I first found them in the New York Times. There was a little banner ad, and it said Amazon, the world's biggest bookstore.
Bookstore.
And
Yes.
I mean, how many books have I bought from Amazon over the years? How many products have I bought from Amazon? It
We
was
do your groceries on Amazon. Essentials.
yeah, absolutely. And I love. I think the most successful web properties are those where you basically create an engine like eBay. They don't have to do any work. People do the work for them.
It's user-generated.
You just print money.
Platforms.
Yeah.
You're a platform.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Yeah, and Amazon's very similar with opening up an Amazon store, and they just collect a little money along the way.
And the real deal is the warehousing
Yeah,
that they do for you, and because that warehouse is appreciated.
yeah,
So something similar to McDonald's.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, in that sense, Amazon's in the real estate business.
Precisely.
Huge
Nobody
amount.
talks about it.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody
Yeah.
talks about it. They are in distribution and warehousing.
Yeah,
Not
More
they
than
don't
anything.
care whatever or how many competitors of these eyeglasses can be on Amazon.
yeah,
I mean, as a
Yeah.
seller, I would want some form of, competition being sort of stopped, right?
Yeah.
If I have a better product, but somebody can come and make. Actually, yes, just yesterday I sent you the link. We launched a client of ours on Amazon. It's the world's first temperature sensor controlled tumbler.
Wow.
So, and it's patented, but somebody just launched today. I mean, they must be working on it. The exact same design, but without the temperature sensor. So if somebody is not looking at it from the top,
Yeah.
they may buy that product because it's $10 cheaper.
yep. And not every buyer will see that difference.
Yeah.
Precise.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tough world out there.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
why authentic PR or PR in general,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I believe I'm a strong proponent of PR.
Yeah.
Although I'm an ad guy, comms guy, I make more money if I sell ads, right? But I
Yes.
feel when others speak about you, that makes more, that creates more trust.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand,
Yeah.
It should be a mix of all, basically.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
other than .com, what
Yeah, back to your question. Certainly, cell phones. I mean, I think I got my first cell phone sometime in the 90s, and it was a Motorola flip phone, like
Yeah.
everybody else. But watching the evolution to the smartphone, we actually we launched a company that did the first over-the-air updates. So I don't know if you remember in the early days, you had to go back to Verizon, they would plug it in, and they would update your firmware.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
games into it and change some software and stuff.
yeah.
Even for consoles.
Yeah.
You couldn't download, right? If you wanted games, you had to
Exactly.
go to the store and, I need some more
6600
games.
Nokia.
Yeah.
You have to go to the shop to load the apps.
Which we used to call the Panda. It was a beautiful phone.
Okay.
The 3310 of Nokia and 6600.
Yeah.
They were a transformation in itself.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
The Symbian phones.
They were. And
Now all phones look the same.
they look a lot the same. Yeah. A lot alike.
Even cars as well these days. I was reading the
Yeah, I mean electric cars, Tesla, BYD, all
Yeah.
these electric cars, they're the
So,
same.
so basically, smartphone was another thing which you saw the big change in the industry,
Yeah.
in the way you guys work and
Yeah, I think Thomas Friedman, the New York Times columnist, put it really well. This was probably, say, in the late 2008, 2009. He wrote a column that he said, well, it's like God. Why is it like God? Because our phones and Google make us omniscient and omnipresent.
Yeah, all
Right?
the time.
Right? Very, very interesting metaphor. Yeah, all the time. We never have to wonder about the answer to a question that we can't answer. We have all those resources at our fingertips.
Anywhere, as long as you have a working phone connection.
Yeah.
As long as you have working data, right?
Yeah.
It's freaky. I mean, all of a sudden the room is quiet.
Yeah,
Which brings me towards the last question of the show,
sure.
which is the curveball.
Okay, I'm ready.
As somebody would say. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to a Mets game tomorrow, so let's see how that goes.
Okay.
But my curveball question is, what is the gray matter to you?
Gray matter obviously refers to the brain. and it's about, our cognition.
Okay. And that's what the gray matter is to you, right?
Well, cognition, is everything. It's how do we process information? How do we engage in acts of creativity? And even how do we engage in acts of kindness?
Yeah.
It's all in the gray matter. And back in early college, I worked in a neurology lab at the university, and we were doing some testing on brains. Basically,
Neural paths.
yeah. And I fell in love with the brain. I knew if I was going to be a doctor, I wanted to be a neurologist.
Yeah.
And today the brain is still, it's been mapped a lot more than it was back then. It's still a big mystery.
Yeah, because it keeps growing. It keeps making new connections, new neural paths.
It does. And there's some really interesting studies about how technology affects that. I don't know if you saw that recent study about ChatGPT.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's scary because
That's scary, basically. That's not positive,
It was not
slowing down
positive.
the brain activity.
Yeah. It's made me think every time now that I go to ChatGPT.
I just used it 2 times in my
in
life.
your life?
I don't use it.
Wow.
I don't use it. Yes.
Wow. How about you?
It's I got that.
I know I use ChatGPT for my research scraping,
Yeah.
but not for any output that I want as a future.
Yeah.
Because that's a permutation. I still feel that the creative mind can produce something better because it will give me something which will be a combination of something. It will always be similar to something.
Other than facts, it always tells what you want to listen. If you ask about any prediction about your product,
Yeah.
I've
It'll say,
And that you found out in one of the 2 times you've
Yeah.
used ChatGPT.
yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone.
Oh, okay.
And the way he was telling me about that thing, 2 days later, I found a research that it is exactly telling what you want to think.
Yeah.
Basically, what you want.
So it takes you down a rabbit hole, yeah?
Yeah.
exactly.
And it encourages you. It'll
Exactly.
say, you got this. You're going to succeed.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also, I was like 3-4 months back in New York. I was in a networking event, and there was this debate going on with the Gen Zs and the millennials about AI. And someone asked a question, and the whole hall was literally silent. And I was like busy replying, and I was like, "What's happening here?" The guy said, the question was, "Do you believe that AI have a soul?" And everyone was shut down and thinking, "Oh my God."
Its soul is developing for sure.
I mean, there is no no soul, there is no. So everything you're seeing in AI was discussed somewhere, but your brain is
Yeah.
popular for creating new ideas and connections.
Yeah, absolutely. A really great CMO that I saw at another event, he was on a panel, and he said, if you want to use ChatGPT for creative ideas, take the top 10 recommendations that it gives you and throw those away.
Yeah.
Because everybody, it's all
Make it work more.
It's all based on, not just make it work more, but it's based on what people have done before.
Pre-existing data.
You're not-
See, that's the thing, and the worst use case for ChatGPT, in my opinion, specific to what the conversation we are having, as everyone who does not have any editorial experience or any basic sentence formation skill,
Yeah.
is now an influencer or a top voice on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
if
worse.
you are writing something on LinkedIn, copying from ChatGPT, that today is Tuesday, give me something nice for my feed.
Yeah.
At least take out those rocket icons that it puts, right? That's the least you can do,
For
right?
so many of those posts, they just scream ChatGPT.
ChatGPT,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I've started to go. You've been really, really burning some energy there.
Yeah.
buddy.
Well, I have an approach. Sorry to interrupt. I have a ChatGPT style guide that I've developed. It's like 18 pages long, telling ChatGPT exactly how I want it to write. Don't use those emoticon or emojis. Don't use M dashes. Don't say the sentence like, "It's not just this, but it's this."
Yeah, and something like, if you want a comprehensive guide for your brand design, this is what you should do.
Yes.
And the word most used by ChatGPT is captivating.
Yeah, and mesmerizing and
All these
meticulously researched.
Who talks like that?
Yeah, nobody. So if somebody is, I'll call it lazy because it is a really important tool. I think it's an amazing productivity tool.
It is.
But if you just take it verbatim as it spits it out, you're making yourself look bad.
Yeah.
I almost always kind of get a panic attack in my mind that I'm saying something, I've written something, and if I cannot defend that naturally,
Yeah.
I'm not taking that.
Defensible audacity.
Yes.
Defensible audacity.
wow.
So we have authenticity, defensible audacity, and the journey from paper to print.
Yeah.
And on that note, we can end the show.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. This has been really
Thank you very
fun.
much
Thank
for
you
coming
for
and sharing your story.
being on the show and especially taking a few stops. I know it's blazing hot, but I think the journey back home or to the office will be better.
Yeah. It should have cooled off a little
Yeah.
bit by now. Yeah, the middle of the day, it was like a blast furnace.
But love your shirt.
Thank you.
Love the flamingo.
Thank you. Yeah.